seconds. Alright, open up the chat doc. Oh, these got damaged. Hey, what's up, Lexi? Made it. Yeah, I got these tongs. You weren't there, but I did a stack of quarters, Damascus. The Jack Pines did a coffee scoop out of. When I did them, I took these tongs and I stacked up a stack of quarters in these tongs, held them right in the heat instead of wiring them together or anything, then pulled them out and just tapped the tongs to weld the quarters together. When I did, it flattened out them curves, so I had to recurve the end of my tongs to grip onto a punch. I just set it down on a map. I don't know where. What's that one? All right. Here's some 3/8 bar stock. Gonna wait a couple minutes and see if anybody pops in. I do have to make a leaf hook for somebody, for a guy at work. He just asked me to make him something real simple and easy for him to give his wife for Christmas. So I like making the leaf hooks. I've done a lot of them. So, but for the guys that have already seen me do them, it's not going to be anything exciting. Now I'm also over here trying to, yeah, it doesn't look like, looks like this one locked up. So I'll just shut it off. I had a laptop over there and I had it because I wanted to see if I could use that to go and stream on Twitch at the same time I was on this. But it just wasn't working. I mean, that one locked up. This one's got no drop frames. I got a good internet connection. Hey, Corwin. Yeah, what I was saying, Corwin, was I was telling Lexi, one of my coworkers just wanted something quick and easy to give to his wife. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a leaf hook. I make a lot of leaf hooks. I like making them. They're fun. First thing I had to do was go fix a pair of my tongs that I damaged at Quad State. Alright, put these ones back. So, when I make it, I'm going to start with a piece of 3/8 square stock. I'm get that in the fire. We'll see if anybody else shows up. They could not. It's not a big deal. I don't have a lot of subscribers. Most of them are just my friends. People that I've met in real life and stuff. So there may be a few people popping in, and there may not. Won't be the end of the world. I didn't schedule this or anything. I'm just playing around today. I came down and lit this forge, and then right after I lit my forge, I had, Erwin, you make many leaves? I'll take my bar. Put a point on it, hang a little bit off, step down. Alright, you can see, stepped down the bar, put a point on it, left my material for a lead. Before the snow hits, yeah, we had snow the last couple days here. Not a lot. I mean, I didn't have to get the skid steer out and plow or anything like that, just maybe 4 inches, 5 inches. Everybody in the house, me, my wife, and my daughter, all have 4-wheel drive, so I don't have to go out and plow it until it gets bad. Yeah, I like making leaves. I actually haven't made a leaf in a long time. So now I'll go in and I'll thin that up, that stem. I'll thin that stem back a little bit first before I spread that leaf out. Once again, I'm drawing that out. If you see the angle of my hammer, I'm driving the corner of that hammer right into it. That's leaving big notches in it. Might be hard to see on the camera, but you can see as it cools down that I'm driving that in and I'm making big divots and dents in it. And that draws it out. For me, I'm more comfortable doing it that way to draw it out. It's actually more aggressive than if you go over the horn of the anvil, and it's a little more controllable than if I go over the edge. Pinions and so now I'll smooth that up. I've got a nice taper about 3.5 inches long or so. Down to the leaf. And it's relatively smooth. So I'll go ahead and round that up on the next heat. Yeah, I've been blacksmithing for a little while, so a lot of what I do, a lot of other people do it. It might take them 2 or 3 heats, and I can get it done quite a bit faster. Especially if it's something I've done a lot of. I've done a lot of leaves. Now I'm going to round up the section. Go octagon. So now you can see it's not round yet, it's octagon. Whenever you go from square to round, all you're doing is knocking off the corners. And whenever you do a taper and you're drawing down that material, you're always going to do it by going square, octagon, round. You don't just keep spinning it and hammering it. You go back and you knock the corners off, then you make it an octagon, then you go back and you knock the corners off that. And the more corners you knock off, every time you knock off one corner, it creates two. The more corners you knock off, the more round it's going to get. If you see, I'll tip it and I'm walking right down that whole line from one end to the other almost. What I'm not doing is just grabbing it and spinning it, and hitting randomly. Because then when you get done, you'll end up with a nice, round, relatively smooth taper. Frames drop. Still people here. So what's this compressor you're working on? Or condenser? And yeah, I got a big fancy brick forge, but it doesn't do anything that my little forge table that sits outside can't do. I've got 3 gas forges here too, but I haven't used them in a long time. Now I went in and flattened it out a little bit. One of the things when you're doing them leaves is try to keep your stem off the anvil. That way if you accidentally miss your leaf and hit that stem, you're not going to damage the stem. You're not going to thin it way out. Condenser for an ethanol recovery device. Huh. Then I'll go in with my cross beam and start thinning it out and widening it. But what I want you to see, okay, I don't know if you can see it. It's thin in the center, but I've left quite a bit of material out on both sides. By doing that, it makes it so that I can spread it quite a bit wider than if you just smash it. Now I've got the material on the sides. It's already almost wide enough to be a leaf, and I've still got a lot of material. So this is going to be a really wide leaf. see, that leaf is spreading out pretty wide. Hey Ray, what's up? One of the projects that I got to get to pretty soon is making some ball stakes that fit right in my hardy and just stick up about, I don't know, 8 inches high or so. But it's a heart. Yeah, well, it's getting spread out pretty wide there. So you can see it's starting to spread out into a nice leaf. It'll only take half a second to heat up because it's still pretty warm. Now I'll take a tool that looks like a chisel, but it's not sharp at all. It's nice and round. It's called a fuller. Oh, well, hang on. Let me pull this up out of the fire a little bit. Yeah, Ray, I got some balls. I got these steel balls in different sizes, and I figured I'd just put them on, just weld them right onto the stake, the shank, and make some ball stakes in different sizes. I mean, that one's a pretty big one. It's like a little over 3 inch. See, if you start in the center, you get wider leaves. Yeah. It wasn't as much just starting in the center. It's if you keep jumping around all over back and forth on that leaf when you're trying to spread it, it's harder than if you just start in the center, start spreading there, but then that leaves you a big chunk of material on either side, and when you start spreading them out, you can pull it out a lot more. Yeah, aspen leaf, kind of. So I'll put a line right up through the center using my puller. I don't want to chisel through it. I'm not using a chisel. This is very dull and rounded. Okay, now you can see I put that line up through the center. You'll see a lot of blacksmiths will just grab that chisel and they'll go from that line out and they'll put the line out the other little lines with the chisel. What I found I like to do is just use the back side of a relatively sharp peen. And I can take that and just walk that up that leaf as I'm turning it. My hammer's staying pretty much the same. And you can see my leaf is starting to get some texture in it. So now what I'll do is I'll heat that up a little more. Yeah, Ray, I got a buddy that wanted something small for his wife, a friend at work. So I told him I'd make a leaf hook. It's pretty small, it's an easy. Yeah, and I always like to take my leaves and play around with them afterwards. I don't leave them flat. So most of the time I'll take and, oops, I'm getting away here because I got my horn on the wrong side for this. I'll come in and fold that leaf right in half. You see I folded it in half and it's pretty tight. Now I'll open it back up. And I usually use a flathead screwdriver to open them up. It works really well. Nothing fancy, just a cheap flathead screwdriver. Then I'll open it up. And I just get it started. Once it's started, I just go over back where it's kind of sharp. Now I've opened it to there. Now I'm putting a curve in there. So I got a leaf there. So we got a leaf there. I'm going to go ahead and cut this bar off. So I'll heat farther up back in the bar. We'll get it cut off. I'll throw a hardy tool in and cut it off. And we'll draw out our tape or our material. And Ray, this would be a good one for you to do too because it's a real easy project. And what I like about it is I always start them off. I use square stock, 3/8 square. And when you get done, none of it's square because you've hammered the whole length of it. You put your holes in. You made your hook. Use my rivet header on my swage or a divot on my ammo stand and give it a round on either side, then play with the tip. Okay. Yeah, I've done it where I've also drawn the tip out really long and curled it around. But this is actually a project that I do a lot of times if I'm doing demonstrations at the fair, or I used to do a lot of demonstrations for schools. For field trips. Drop forged and drop it. Alright, so pull it out, put it on decide about how long I want it. That was good. Don't cut all the way through. You don't want to ram it into your cutter. Cut the bar off. Throw that back in the fire. I don't necessarily worry about getting that all the way back to square. I just don't leave the point on it and stuff when I leave it laying around. Whoa! That heated up fast. Alright. We're going to pull it out, draw a taper on the other end. Like I said, watch the angle of the hammer. Then go back and straighten it up. You can see it's still full of divots because I was driving the corner and drawing. I like to use a double-headed framing nail. Oh yeah, the mini swords. Or you take the horseshoe nails and make little spoons out of them. Little tiny spoons. Drop boards already. Oh, it's too early to start drinking. Yeah, well, what? You can't afford to drink there, can you? All right. Pull it out. Once again, driving my corner in. I'm not hitting flat. I'm driving the corner right into it. So I'm going to stop early, not smooth it out so you can see how rough that bar is. But you can also see how long it's getting. Smooth it out a little bit. Oh, I still have a little bit of heat. We'll go back in, do one more heat there, tapering that down. Like I said, when I do these at demonstrations, a lot of times I'm looking to try to do them, and you know, after I do a few of them, I haven't done one in a long time. But after I do a few of them, I can get to where I can do them in 15-20 minutes. Alright. So let's do one more heat for now, and then we'll see where we're at. Maybe I'll do one more heat. Now I'm just going to clean it up. My hammer's coming down almost flat. Just working it down. You can see that's let me get a ruler and look. It's about a 7-inch long taper and a couple heats. Yeah. Well, it depends on how fine I want that end to be. And you got to have a smooth flow and taper all the way down to it. So sometimes it's better to just take that extra heat, and it's going to look better when you get done. A lot of guys worry too much and try to speed it up, and when they do that, they make it worse on themselves because their products never look good. So one more heat. Do some work up here. So let me straighten it out a little bit before I move on. You can see now you've got a nice taper. It's relatively smooth, relatively flat, doesn't have a whole lot of hammer marks or bumps in it. So now I'll go ahead and round that whole section up. And, well, everybody here is blacksmiths, so y'all know whenever you round it up, you go from square, you knock the corners off the square, make it an octagon, then go down through, knock the corners off the octagon, make it into a 16-sided something octagon. So let's knock our corners off our octagon, or off our square and make it an octagon. I could probably get 3/4 of this done in one heat of making it an octagon. I'm going to work down into a lower heat, just giving it a chance to cool down a little more. So that hopefully we can see that it still has flats on it, but it did go almost all the way to the end. It's hard to see on that camera. So we'll take another heat and we'll make that round. I need to set up the laptop I got from work Monday. Actually, I brought a laptop out right there, and I was trying to, I had OBS on that, but I had the OBS going to Twitch on that one, and YouTube on this laptop right here. And that one, after a couple minutes, just locked up, and I haven't had a chance to look at it. I just shut it off and kept going on YouTube. Now, and when you look at big projects, a lot of times it's this. You're just making one little part, getting good at it, and repeating it over and over and over. See, I'm working that down into a low heat. Most people would be like done, they throw it back in, heat it back up, but as it comes down through that heat, your hammer isn't going to sink in as far because it's colder. So that's where you go and you smooth your work out, is at that lower temp. You get most of the work done while it's really hot. Work my Twitch setup. Alright, let me round up the rest of that. You can see when I'm turning it that I'm not just doing this and spinning it. I'm turning it, I'm looking at the high spots, I'm hammering them in. Now she's tapered down, she's rounded up for the most part. That hammer is a 2.5 pound hammer. It's not that heavy. Yeah, this is a 2.5 pound. It's this hammer was made by Mark Lane, and I like it. It's a nice hammer. Now we'll go ahead and put our little finial on. Nice little finial. Get it back in my fire. One problem I got right now is this fire's been burning for quite a while. It was lit and I was tinkering around with another project during Ray's whole stream, so right now I've got a ton of clinker in there. But I'm not going to add more right now. Hey Tim, what's up? Tim is another guy that goes every year to Quad State. That's another thing I like to do once in a while. As you see, I didn't use the horn to make the hook. And I do that once in a while just because I used to be the forge master here at New York State, and I'd get all these guys learning how to blacksmith, and they'd come in and they keep making up excuses, and they'd be like, well, I can't go home and make a hook or something because I don't have an anvil, and it doesn't have a horn on it. You know, or I just use a block of steel, but it doesn't have a horn, so I can't make round stuff. So a lot of times I'll tinker around and play around and make them round parts without using the horn. Alright, so now we got the hook, we got the leaf, we need to make a couple mounting holes. So what I'm going to do is just come over here, tip this up a little bit, hammer that in 2 spots. Now I got 2 big notches in there, so that when I bring this out and I go to drift them holes out, it'll be easier to set the drift on there than setting a ball drift on top of a round piece. Yeah, curl the edge over and then just flip it over and bring it back. And a long time ago, I learned the guy that was helping me make scrolls when I first started making scrolls and stuff used to tell me that they were a lot easier out here than they are over the horn because the horn wants to corkscrew them. Whereas if you just hold them 90 degrees to this, you can bend them around that and they stay pretty close to flat. But if you go around this, it's a compound curve. So you got to tip it and lean it just in the right spot. And he said it was just made it really hard. So now I'm just going to take a little ball punch there. Set it down. Set my hammer down there. use most of my heat by the time I get it lined up. You can see I started it. I'm going to go back and do it one more. Drive them in a little farther. Now when I'm doing demos, and you're doing demos and stuff for the public, you're trying to keep them engaged. So you're telling funny stories and you're, doing stuff like that. So when I do that part, normally I'll, if I'm doing it for school kids or the public that isn't blacksmiths and stuff, I always tell them that if you drive that in, you push the material out to the side and you're not removing as much material. So you're not losing the structural rigidity of the piece by removing material like you would if you were drilling a hole. But then I tell them that a buddy of mine used to tell me that he would do that because, alright, you can see where it pushed the sides of the bar out and made it wider because now you're just going to take out the material in the bottom. So I'll put it back in, heat it up, and punch them 2 holes through. So I just got nothing fancy, just a little punch. My new anvil has no horn, but I do have a cone hardy. I just have to create some horn faces. I mean, you could say it's considered a bladesmith anvil, but if you go back and you look at the old 1700s and stuff, I literally took an anvil to quad state that was from the 1700s. From back before they had Pritchell holes, it didn't have a horn on it. If you look at the yeah, I'm horrible at holding the tongs between my legs and working on it. So those holes aren't centered real well. The hole divots aren't centered real well, but I don't mind because it's organic. If it was something else that was more critical, I'd worry about it being nicely centered, but it's a leaf hook. So now what I'm going to do is take and just use up, I got a lot of stem up above them holes. I might thin it down a little bit because it is kind of bulky up there, but I'll thin it down a little bit and then I'll just bend the stem around. Use some of it up. Let me get a little more heat. Like I said, I got a lot of clinker in this fire right now, so I might have to clean it if I make something else. So once again, I'm going to draw some of that down. It was just too bulky. So you can see, I drew it down, I went right back to square. Now we'll go Atlas. I'm trying to think if I know who Atlas is, like who runs it. Alright, I literally have little to no heat here. Hold on. This is all clinker. I just throw it up in there and every once in a while I go clean it out. That's all clinker. Pull my piece out, get some coal down in there. Get my fire started back up. New stuff on the edge. Yeah, I got this coal and it works all right, but man, it has a lot of clinker to it. And it cokes up nice and gives off good heat. Just makes a lot of clinker. Alright, we'll give that a couple seconds because that fire's got to come back. I was getting to the point where I couldn't even get my heat on it. Yeah, I mean, I used to have, this is a, I think it's a 96-pound Trenton anvil, and it's not bad. I like it. I used to have a 300-pound Trenton, and I hated it. The face was too wide. I like to move this anvil around. Like sometimes I'll just grab my anvil, spin it around so that I got a sharper edge, as opposed because one edge is sharp, one edge is rounded and whatnot. And I just, because of the way I forged, I did not like having a huge anvil. I got this one, I do 90% of what I do now on this one. 90, well, more than that, probably 99%, and then some of it I do in the vise. I've got a, when Harbor Freight first came out with the Doyle anvils, I went right out and grabbed one. It's still sitting there on the ground. I never even made a mount for it. Now I'll go back, round that back up. Octagon. If I shut my mouth and just keep going, I can get this rounded in this one heat. Alright, so now we're backed around. We got our leaf still on the end. We're just going to bend that stem around so that it's not so long and skinny looking. I got a buddy, he does all his, and he just takes that stem and kind of bends it back and forth a couple times and puts the leaf up. I like to bend that leaf. Take the leaf and bend it right down and put it next to the holes. Sometimes I do have to go to the horn. I'll take another heat and make that a little better so this looks more smooth and flowing. Yeah, I mean, this coal I got real cheap, so I'm not complaining. I mean, I got it real cheap. I will go to the horn, touch that up. Okay, so now I got it crossing over. What I'll do is I'll heat here. And then I usually go and put it right across my hardy hole. This works better if you do have an anvil with a bigger hardy hole. But then I push the bar down in so that it's got a nice jump over. You can see how that jumps over that. If you look at it, that puts that right into it. I took a little bit of it out because it came down and it was partially covering the screw hole. So now I'll go put a little more in. Forgot my phone adapts to the time zone, so Christmas dream is in the afternoon, 19th of December. Oh, that Roy's great Christmas giveaway. I might actually take the night off for that. I usually do. So then I lay it down so it sits flat on the anvil, and what I'm looking for is that hook sticking straight out. And if you look, it's leaning to one side quite a bit. So we'll just heat that end up, we'll clamp it in the vise and twist it till it's straight. And that's basic wall hook, you know, basic leaf hook that I make when I do a lot of demonstrations and stuff and whatnot. I don't know how late I feel like going tonight. I'm tired, but that's because somebody else went longer than they were supposed to. Okay, so I'll clamp this so that it's flat. Give it a little bend. Set it down, double check it, make sure that it looks straight. which it does. Give it a little tap back here. Now I'm looking at the other direction to make sure that that is in line with the back, and the hook tips just a little bit that way. So once again, I don't need a lot of heat for this part because it's small and almost there. So then I can look at it. Everything looks pretty good. It sits pretty flat. The holes are there. The leaf is there. Then I'll usually go and give it a rub down with a brass brush. This brass brush is a Forney brush, I believe, and it has a lot more bristles than you usually see in brass brushes, and works really well. And then the brass in it is super soft. Wakey. Ah. Well, it's your fault, Ray. If you didn't run long, it wouldn't be so late. But yeah, I wasn't, I just figured I'm probably going to do a stream. I do a stream, I try to do a stream. I've been doing a stream the last few weeks here, right about 6 o'clock on Sundays. Because I had the extra days off, I thought, yeah, I'll go out Friday and do a stream too, because, I got the time off, but I'm not really doing anything, so I came out today, did it. But this brush is really soft, so it rubs off real easy, and you almost don't even have to have any temperature in it, as long as there's scale. But it does work a little bit better if it's warm. Then just try to get at it from every little angle and nook and cranny. Ray, do you have a good brass wire brush? Alright. To be honest with you, Corwin, I got that at my last job. We have core machines, and when they clean the patterns on the core machines, they can't use a regular wire brush because they'll scratch it, and then the scratches will come out in every mold. So they have these wire brushes, and well, that's where I got mine. But I believe it's Forney. Yeah, she's cooled down pretty good. We'll try to get a close-up. You see the leaf has texture. It's not flat. It's bent around and curved, and I wish the camera would focus better, but it is what it is. Then the two holes. But if you're doing demos, especially I guess if you're looking for content, that's a quick little project that you can do. And you can stretch it out, make a whole stream out of that. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, lately, I've been goofing around and doing cooking tools for open hearth. So I've been playing around with that. The steel center. What do you mean the steel center? Not following. I don't know where I put it. No, up here. Okay. You mean in here where the brass brush didn't reach? In the center of the leaf? Because it does the same thing down here. And I got a funny story that I'll usually tell while I'm doing the demo. And when you're doing these, yeah, the brass doesn't go all the way to the bottom of the crease. But when you're doing these two holes, I got a funny story. I learned one of the guys that kind of was a mentor that I looked up to when I was starting out was a guy named Steve Jocelyn. And Steve was a little short guy, a real artsy guy, but he was a really great, phenomenal blacksmith. And so Steve would, you know, he was the artsy kind, and he had the little glasses way down there on the end of his nose and small glasses and looked like a little beatnik. He went to college, he had an art degree and everything. And Steve told me, he's like, these divots, he said, when you're making them, he says, you could drill the hole through there, he says, but then imagine your screw is a bird. And he said, imagine your screw is a bird, and if you just drilled the holes and then you set the screw on top of that, the bird looks like it's there because it has to be there, like a bird that's hanging out on a power line or something, because it doesn't have anywhere better to go. He says, but you put that little divot in there, and now that screw rests down in there. He says, and now that bird looks like it wants to be there. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, and if you talk artsy like that, you can charge double. And it worked for him. All right, let me. The other thing I don't like about this coal isn't just that it makes a lot of clinker, it's that the clinker does not stick together. So when you're trying to dig out clinker, you can't just reach in and pull out a nice big donut, because it all falls right apart. But like I said, I got it. The guy was, he had a coal company and sold coal, heating coal and stuff for like 30 years. Then he sold his company. The person that bought the company basically almost bankrupted the company. The guy went and bought his company back for almost nothing. And then he decided that he basically sold the company because he was retiring. He didn't want to get back into it. So he bought his company back for almost nothing and was just selling off everything he had left, trying to empty out the buildings and stuff. So I ended up getting the coal and 50-pound bags of coal for oh God, $6, $6 a bag. Like I said, it cokes up well, it makes good heat, it just makes a lot of clinker, and the clinker won't, I don't mind that it makes, the clinker It's just that the clinker doesn't ever stay together, so it's hard to pull the clinker out and clean your fire. You almost got to dig your fire completely apart and restart it every time. I got a little door on the back of that I fold down and close, and it closes down the yeah, maybe I can turn this up. There's a little door right there, and if I close that down at night, because I heat the shop, and I don't want all the heat to just go right straight up the chimney. Yeah, talk artsy and charge lots of money. So you'd be like, yeah, you know, and you'd be like, and you never say that it looks good. You say this is aesthetically pleasing to the eye. And stuff like that. He's like, you talk good like that while you're showing off your piece, and you know, you can keep charging more money. All right, what now? What now? What now? What now? But he also did one piece that was my work isn't for everyone. That's when you paid Hans. How long ago was that, Sully? Or Lexus? I haven't seen coal for $6 a pound since before COVID, or $6 a bag.
In 20 it was 10 bags twice.
Okay. All right. What do we want to do now? I got a big chunk of pipe. Do we want to play with pipe? Maybe. So there's a paper towel wadded right in the end of that pipe to keep the heat from coming up to it. I don't know if I'm going to get all this done tonight. We'll heat the end of that pipe up and start belling it out. So like I said, you can see I like to spin my anvil around and put it wherever I need it for what I'm doing. I'm going to push that pipe on and just keep hitting it and stretching it, and that's going to bell that end out. But like I said, I don't know if I'm going to get the bell, the lacquer, the hook, the whole 9 yards all done tonight. I might just do that part and finish it up Sunday. Tomorrow I'm going to be playing around with my new toy. Hooking up my hydraulic thumb. Trying it out with my post hole diggers. Yeah, $25 for a 50-pound bag. I can usually find it for about $15 here, but like I said, I bought that stuff. The guy was going out of business. He just wanted to get rid of it and empty out his stock, so it was like $6 a bag or something. Now I've got a couple of ways that I can do this. I can put it over the horn, and another way that I've done these is over a big ball bearing. you're not going to see a whole lot in the beginning, but it's starting to bellow out, flare out. Might take a few heats. And that's why I keep all these ball bearings around too. Sometimes I can take a ball bearing, whoo, corn's hot, and just set it there. Then bring a piece out and set it on top of that ball bearing. And use that ball bearing to flare it out. That's going to be hot, so I'm not going to pick it up. I think I'm going to go back to doing it on the horn. But I've done it both ways. $4. Even at $4 a bag, that's pretty cheap. I mean, it depends. If you go down there and pick it up right at the mines, like in Pennsylvania, they got some pretty good coal, blacksmithing coal in Pennsylvania, out near the Pittsburgh end of Pennsylvania, closer to Ohio. If you go right out there, right to the coal mines, then you get it real cheap. And there's quite a few of them that'll sell smaller loads to people with smaller dump trailers and stuff. I'm thinking maybe I might want to switch to a rounder hammer. Let's see what I got. I'm not seeing the one I want. Actually, when I had the laptop, it was real dark, so I turned the lights off over in this end of the shop. Just keep working it, flaring it out. You can get that bell shape. Pretty soon I'll end up going right to my the flat side of my hammer. Yeah, 2 tons. Like I said, you can get it pretty cheap if you go right out there and get it. And a lot of them are charging you quite a bit on the shipping and stuff. They charge you way more to haul it than they do than what the coal itself costs. But Hans was in PA. Which end was he on? He might have been real close to the mines and stuff. Like I said, they're over on the western end of PA. Over near Pittsburgh area. That's why Pittsburgh had the, Pittsburgh had a lot of steel mills and stuff. It was because they had a nice supply of coal. Pittsburgh, Southern Ohio. And it's a slow process, but it's belling out. I might go back to the ball bearing, because it does stretch it a little faster, but you have to be careful that you don't get it stuck in there. Straight truck, you want to, yeah. Horn's hot. You see that? Yeah, you see that. And I'm sure everybody in here all knows, if you're working pipe, make sure you put something in it so that the heat doesn't come right up straight through the pipe, or the pipe will get hot. And you know what? I am not thinking using my brain, because I should have put this in the guillotine tool before I flared out that end, because now it's not going to fit. So I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do there. And if you saw that, and you were actually seeing it up close, it flared up farther up than where I'd already belted out. So it looked like I was going backwards and losing the progress that I had made. But now we got to just go to farther up there and redo that. Whew, horn's getting kind of hot. And yeah, this is a 2.5 pound hammer. My heaviest hammer, one that I made 20 years ago or so out of forklift tank. That's about 5.5 pounds. I used to use it a lot, but I don't know, I'm getting older and it's just too heavy. I got another one that's a little bit smaller than that I do use still once in a while. Woo! Pull that end off good. Nope. I lost my paper towel off the end of that. Hang on. I gotta pull the whole thing and put another paper towel in there. But you can see I'm starting to get a good bell flare on the bottom of that, because you're only going to need that much of the pipe. Corwin. It was nice of you to stop in. Like I said, usually I do a stream Sunday nights at 6 o'clock is what I've been doing them. Tonight was just an impromptu, you know, hey, I'm actually not working, so come out and play around. I've also got a been wanting to play around with trying to texture I've also been playing around with the idea of, and I haven't gotten to it yet, is trying to do a texture on hot steel with a needle descaler. So I'm going to try that, see how that comes out, see what kind of texture it leaves. And hot steel, it should dig them needles in pretty good. Okay, I rolled that ball through some water, that ball bearing, and it's still pretty hot. Here's one that's a little bit bigger. Once again, just bellowing it out some more with the ball. I think that's almost where I want to be. And the spot that I got belled out is actually bigger than this ball. I should have one more bigger one. But when I drive it down on that one, it should put a real good flare right in the beginning. I haven't tried it yet, but I bet you if I just used the balls, it'd work pretty good. Alright, here we go. Oh, look at that bell flare. I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to heat a little bit farther in the bar. Try to figure out how I'm going to neck down that bar because it won't fit through this fuller. And alright, we're good. This one, I haven't cut the dies yet or rounded them, so can't use that. So now I gotta yeah, they're still warm. Put this one back because I'm done with it. So now, how am I gonna pinch down that end? I guess I'll just hang it over here and try to do it by hand. It just takes a little more hammer control. Tim, I'm not sure if this pipe will fit in there on either end. It might, I'm not sure. Yeah, it won't go in that end either. Well, it might if I take the plastic thread protector off, but I think maybe once I find my regular hammer, maybe we can do it right here and just pinch it there. Pow, pow, pow. We'll see what happens. I'm sure it's going to take quite a few heats. So let me get some heat farther up in that pipe where I need it and keep spinning it and get the heat even. No, I don't. I don't think I have a pipe guillotine. I mean, you know what? I might have one. The only problem is I have no freaking clue where it is. I got this one. Maybe. To be honest with you, I don't even remember why I have this one. I don't remember what project I used it on. But I guess maybe we'll try that, see if it works. I really shouldn't be using my good hammer. Grab a shaped hammer. Alright. Oop, had a coal in it. That did not work too well. Let me put that back in the heat. Pile some coal up over it. Maybe move this up to a different hole. No, I didn't use it for the cups on the candelabra because those weren't made out of pipe. Maybe this will work better. Maybe I can go all the way to the top hole. I mean, that's a pretty big pipe. Like I said, I don't even know if I'm going to get this done tonight. Hopefully I can get this part here done. Then make the clacker and stuff on Sunday. And we'll see what happens. It's starting to get it. Let's keep going. So what is everybody else up to? Oh, hey, Trail Dust. We're just goofing around trying to make a, I think I'm just going to do the outside piece tonight and finish it up some other time. I'm trying to make a bell. You know, it's Christmas time. I may actually do something that I rarely ever do, and that's put a glove on. Because this pipe heats right up. If I have a glove. Let me guess, they're all the wrong hand. I got gloves, I just don't want to go get them. I thought it looked bellish. Yeah, it looks bellish. That's the technical term. It's a really big candle cup. Alright. It's getting it. But I think I'm ready to move it down to that middle hole. It's starting to dig in pretty good. Where the heck is that hole? I'll be messing around with this and end up burning it up. All right. Yeah, and it's this opening in here is way big to be for candle cups. So now I'm really wondering, what did I use that for? Might not have even been in pipe. I don't know. Brain's going in my old age. All right, let's try this again. Keep going. Now it's getting down, it's going pretty quick. hot. I gotta cool that handle end off. Stuff my rag back in it. Heater back in the fire. We're done. That went so far in one heat that now I think I'm ready to put it on the bottom hole already. Ringy dingy things. What kind of ringy dingy things? Were you making regular bells, or were you by chance making the round jingle bells? All right, we're on the bottom hole. Dinner bells of various shapes. Oh, okay, like triangular bells? I mean, like a ding, 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 ding type dinner bell. And if the answer is yes, have you tried doing them with higher carbon steel as opposed to mild steel, and does it change the tone? So yeah, once I get one more squish on this, then I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with it after that. I may have to throw it in the fire or in the water, cool the whole thing down, put it in the saw, cut just past where that puller is, so that I can take that material and squish it down, some of it just past, and make that like basically grab my hook that goes up through it. Dog head shape, sailboat shape, star shape. Yeah, okay. Yep. Yeah, I don't know if Ray's still in here, but Kevin, Ray does a live stream like 3 days a week on Twitch. Usually it's at 2:30 in the afternoon. And it's Ray's Smithy, R-A-E. Hold up, piece of coal went flying. Yep, this is bottom right up. Can't go any farther. But it gave me a pretty good bell shape. So I guess now I'll cool it off. It's hard to cool because I got a plug in it. So it's like blowing bubbles out the bottom of it. Oh, the plug just blew out of it. So once it did that, the steam started coming up out. So I've subscribed to her YouTube. Oh, okay, yeah. Ray was here earlier watching the stream. Don't know if she still is. All right. Set that over on the table. Kill my air down here. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to finish this right now or on, because I plan on, you know, Sunday at 6 like I've been doing all along. Recently, doing a stream, I could work on finishing this bell. But you can see it's starting to get nicely bell-shaped. And then I have to decide whether I want to make this bell a hook or a handle or how I want to do it. I don't think it's big enough to have a handle. And it's not thin enough to get a real good ring. Flattening that out. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut it off like back here a little bit. And then I can take this material that where it's coming up out here and draw that out. And then come in and hit these corners and put more around here. And work on it. But I think it's going to be a nice looking little bell. Hopefully I can do it without having to cheat and weld it with the MIG welder. But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do later. But I think for now I'm just going to shut down for the night. I don't know what time it is. 7:20. I don't know how long. What do I mean I don't know how long? I can look and see. Oh, I've been on for an hour and 45 minutes. Which isn't a hugely long time, but we were all watching Ray, and that ran long, so I didn't get started till pretty late. But I can shoot. Yeah. So what's everybody else up to while I'm standing here waiting for my forge to cool off? I'll pull my coal out so that my forge will start going out. Then I can close my door. So I got this little door here on the front of my forge that I closed down because it keeps the heat from going all out the chimney, because I heat this during the winter. I'm kind of spoiled. I don't like coming out and freezing to death working at the forge. Down here, shut my air off. So nobody got anything to say? Then I'll have to look at it and see what happened, because the laptop that's sitting over there, I was streaming on Twitch on that one, this laptop right here, and after a couple minutes it just quit. And they see me too. I have AC, but I find that the AC is, I'll walk into the shop and it'll be nice and cool, but by the time the fire gets lit, the AC is kind of not really doing its thing anymore. Because the forge puts off more than the AC takes out. Who knows, I may even come out tomorrow and finish that bell. I really don't know. We got a few days off work and no big plans, so Turkey Day's over. So do you guys, I mean, I know it's not an Australian holiday, but you guys do like Thanksgiving Day there? Have a big meal, or? Because I know that like it's an American holiday, but like in Europe and England and stuff, they do it. Or it's on the rise, I should say. In England, there are a lot more people. The English people are doing it. But for them, it's not, you know, the whole Thanksgiving. It's just one day of the year to make a big meal. And oh yeah, the AC would be cheap for me to run, considering it's snowing outside. Let me put some hammers away here. And Ray and Corwin were here earlier, so while they were here, I decided to do a, I had to make a leaf hook for a coworker. So I went ahead and did that earlier on the beginning of this stream. I put it somewhere. Now I can't find the damn thing. It's here somewhere. My hammer rack is back there, in case you're all wondering. This toolbox is all full of punches and chisels and steel balls and measuring tools and stuff. Yeah, no, oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah, I made a hook earlier, but I know all you guys have all seen me make hooks before. Your partner insists. Didn't do anything. My partner insists that next year we do a proper American Thanksgiving. Well, you have a partner there. Do I know, or well, haven't met personally, but I think I have an idea who it is. And no, I don't mean Adam. And you know what? I've got all these really nice tongs that I bought, these Fiery Furnace Forge tongs that are really nice tongs, but maybe in one of the upcoming streams I'll go ahead and make a set of tongs. But I will definitely just draw the reins out over on the power hammer. Let me look at something while I'm standing here. Six-inch. No. No. 5-inch. 5-inch. Oh, might have got lucky here. Ugh. 6-inch. All right. I got to make a set of dies for my power hammer. So that piece of 3/8 6-inch, I need to cut some 6-inch squares out of it. That'll work. Ooh, and I have 2 pieces, so I got way more than I'll ever need. All right, let me set them aside. Maybe tomorrow I will make some power hammer dies. My current setup over there, I don't have a set of combination dies and I want to make them. But, alright guys, and on that note, I think I am going to call it a night. Unplug my laptop, take that back up to the house with me. Oh yeah, tomorrow I got to work on my new toy. Just to let you know how silly I can be at times, I went and bought a 1.5 ton Chinese mini excavator. I don't know why they call it a 1.5 tons, because 1.5 tons is 3,000 pounds and it weighs 2,200. But I guess they call that's the working weight. And my yard is literally 100 by 200 foot. So, with probably 40% of that covered with buildings. Between the blacksmith shop, the garage, the house. So, I just wanted a toy to play with, and I got one. So, there's our beginning of our bell, and we'll finish that up probably Sunday. I think I'm going to do some work on that mini excavator, adding my hydraulic thumb and putting my flow diverter valves in. I already put the quick hitch on it, quick coupler. But yeah, alright guys, I am out. Have a good one.